For many traders, sitting on money isn't an option. They start to feel weird about it. What would be your advice psychologically to those kind of traders?
Whatever you find hard to do, so whatever you find painful, so if not trading is painful, it's not an absolute, but as a trading coach as well, that's probably the thing you need to do the most. So actually, a lot of people feel they should be doing something. It's part of our culture. You justify yourself by being busy. I do it as well. You're busy. You've got lots on, lots happening. People take that kind of a grind work ethic into their trading, and actually what they should be doing is putting that effort into their testing and understanding their strategy as much as they can. So quite often, number one, if you feel that way, that probably means you need to sit on your hands more. I make my money waiting, ultimately, and sometimes I can make more money when I'm away for a week because I'm in swing trades and I'm just letting them do their thing. So I think it's really important that traders realise that you make your money when you're waiting. You don't make your money trading, and yeah, it's a natural tendency. And I think again, look at it simply like almost a bit like the 80-20 rule. If that's the thing that's causing you the pain, that's probably the thing that actually, although it doesn't seem like a big change to make, it may feel like a 20% change to make, but actually it could give you 80% of the results that you're looking for.
When you've got that big pot of money though, when you've been doing really well, or over a period of time and the pot has increased, do you need to start trading with that pot more? Do you need to throw it back into the markets, or what's your strategy?
It depends what you want to do. I mean, I'm by nature a spender. So what I have to be careful of is, as I'm making money, staying away from the Porsche dealership or whatever it is, because I know that by nature I'm a spender. So a little bit like the previous question where you were saying, where's the pain? So as I'm making more money, I have to detract myself from the money even more, because and having a clear goal. So at one point when I first started out, my goal was just to make my monthly rent and bills in a month. That's all I was focused on, is if I can just make the rent and the bills, then that's my first sort of rung on the ladder. I'm successful. Whereas now I've got 3 separate trading pots, and they either serve an individual purpose or they serve a common goal. So at the moment, I'm building my trading pots. So I'm not actually taking any money from my trading pots, because I have the training business that I can draw money from, to pay the rent, because what I'm looking to do is go through a period of growth. But I may look at my goals in 2 years' time and go, actually, what I want to be doing is taking some money because there's something we want to do. We might want to move house. We've taken a chunk of money and put it into a house. So now I want to rebuild that pot. So I think for me, I actually like trading with more money because I've done it. For me, if I was trading at £1 a point, I think I would lose interest more quickly. So I've learned to associate the greater sum of money. Not that necessarily I'm going to make a greater percentage. It may be more money that I make, because the same 1% is a greater amount of money. But for me, I like trading with a bigger pot, and I like the focus. But I have to have the goal. I have to say, right, okay, I would like, and this is very important with trading, is a lot of people say, but by the end of the month I want to make 10%, and they make 9.5% and they feel like they failed. But remember that they may have done everything right, but the market just wasn't going to offer you that last 0.5%. So I've got a target at the end of the year. I say I want to get my pot to this point, but if I don't, but I've traded well and I've followed my strategy, then I'm okay with it. And the opposite can happen, is I can have a target, but I can overshoot that. I could end up with, an extra 30 grand. Great. So either way, I focus on what can I do that day in terms of executing my strategy, and what's my overall goal.
Do you think people need to trade every day to make money?
No, absolutely not. We have strategies within our community where a trader can trade once a month and they can make money, and they do make money. I think day trading is something that isn't necessarily personality specific, but there's got to be a want and desire to do it. So no, but what you have to be is consistent with your approach. If you day trade once a week, in theory, you're less likely to be successful, because you might hit the day where you hit the losing runs. So I think where traders can go wrong is they day trade once a week, or they swing trade every day. Whereas actually they need to look at it and say, if my strategy sets up once a month, like one of the strategies that we trade as a community. Sets up once a month, trade it once a month, and be done with it, and review it in a year, and stick to that. If you're day trading, and statistically through your testing, you need to be trading at least 3 mornings a week to make it work, then trade 3 mornings a week. But don't trade 1 morning a week and then wonder at the end of the year why it's not made you the return.
If I'm somebody out there that's perhaps got a bit of cash, should I attempt at investing myself, or should I just hand it over to somebody more experienced?
The big question. It depends. I think there's so many factors. So for instance, I think your personality has a huge amount. So for instance, I don't think, my dad has he's much more risk averse than I am. So he's done okay throughout his life with somebody else managing his money for him. He could have done better, but it doesn't necessarily mean he would have done better. So I think where you are in terms of your age, the percentage you're willing to risk. So if you were somebody that was in your 60s and you came to me and said, look, I need to do this because I've got no pension, I've got £10,000, this is my only hope, the alarm bells are going off already, because you're putting all your eggs in one basket. You've got potentially less time to recover any loss. Whereas if you were, let's say, 30 and you had a good job, you had fairly good high disposable income, and you were able to allocate £5,000, and not that you would go in with this objective, but if that £5,000 went, it wasn't your entire life savings, you've got plenty of time to make the money back, in theory you are already in potentially a better mental state to cope with the ups and downs of trading than somebody in that situation. So I think it's a bit of a cop-out, but I think it's specific to the person rather than one or the other saying you shouldn't manage your money. But what I think people should do is take more interest in charts, even news, and maybe challenge the way their money is invested. There's a lot of fees that are paid, and a lot of people accept what they're told. The jargon. I mean, I've read some of these prospectuses, and the wording in there, I look at it and go, well, I don't understand what that means. And I think a lot of it is potentially worded in a way that makes it difficult for you to understand what's going on. I do think we're seeing a shift. I do think we're seeing the whole millennials phrase. I think people taking ownership of where they go, where they eat, what they watch, where they travel, all these kind of things. And you are seeing that a little bit more with people's overall finances, being able to take control. There are apps that are coming out that allow you to structure the risk of a portfolio. So things are changing slightly. But ultimately, if you are going to trade, whether you're going to trade at a young age or early age, it's all about managing risk.